Bum 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 Iran. Bum 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 Iran. Bum 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 Iran. Bum 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 Iran. Our country's got a really interesting bum Iran. Bum 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 Iran. Went to a mosque. Gonna throw some rocks. Tell the Ayatollah we're gonna push
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Grimaldi podcast. It's been a while since I've been on, but a lot has happened since. We've had a massive dump of the Epstein files that have come out. Now, if you remember back in when the Clinton emails came out, there was the Pizzagate thing, where there was the Comet Pizza place. There's a documentary on it on Netflix called, I forget exactly what it's called. But essentially, some patriot hero thought that there was some kids in there based on these emails that were getting, and he went in there to save the kids, and he ended up getting in trouble. Well, they called us conspiracy theorists and all of this because we used to say, oh, that it actually does turn out that in the Epstein files, not only are they that have been released now by some of the big names out there, CEO of Victoria's Secrets, CEO of, it's just numerous. It would bring down the whole system. I mean, this guy's hands were in everything. But I think the craziest part to all of this is how the only person that has actually been vindicated in all of this is Donald Trump. And we'll get to that in a minute. But I want to start out today with another good one here by Bishop Mar Manuel. He's always a legend. And then I got some crazier videos for you. But this guy always has the truth at heart when in terms it comes to
God, each to their own way. Shame on you for denying your Lord Jesus. The Lord said, I am the way, no other way. No one comes to the Father but me. You're telling me that someone can go to God without Jesus Christ? Now you are not a Christian, you're a coward, you're a traitor, you sold your master. Then shame on you. Without Jesus there is no God. Without Jesus there is no heaven. Jesus is the only way to heaven, to God, period. Now whether you are a bishop, whether you are a cardinal or a pope, shame if you say such an evil statement. Jesus is God. I will not share the same table with someone that comes and says Jesus is not God, he's just a prophet. I won't share the same table with you and pray at the same table. I'll pray for you, yes, but with you over my dead body. With you I won't, but for you I will. Because the Lord said, love everyone. I pray for the LGB, but I will never accept their lifestyle. In the name of love, we have destroyed true love. We all worship the same.
The man always hits home, and it's so true. In the name of love, the Democrats have destroyed everything they touch. It's this suicidal empathy that comes from the left that just hurts everybody. I mean, it hurts everyday Americans. And I think that's what's really starting to really show with all the fraud and everything going on in Minnesota. Now, Tom Homan concluded Operation Metro Surge, and he buried the lead that he was actually going to stop the operation, that they concluded a success. But in that address, Tom Homan said that in Minnesota, they found 3,354 kids that were missing under Biden. But we have Marco Rubio, who's been out there putting a masterclass on to the rest of the world. Check this guy out. The guy's a legend. He's a rock star in this administration, and I think he'll be interesting to see what he does in the future.
This is why we Americans may sometimes come off as a little direct and urgent in our counsel. This is why President Trump demands seriousness and reciprocity from our friends here in Europe. The reason why, my friends, is because we care deeply. We care deeply about your future and ours. And if at times we disagree, our disagreements come from our profound sense of concern about a Europe with which we are connected, not just economically, not just militarily. We are connected spiritually, and we are connected culturally. We want Europe to be strong. We believe that Europe must survive. Because the two great wars of the last century serve for us as history's constant reminder that ultimately our destiny is and will always be intertwined with yours. Because we know
This speechwriter's phenomenal. That's all I can say, man.
because
He
we
delivers
know
it.
that the fate of Europe will never be irrelevant to our own.
The man is a rock star. I mean, look at that standing O in Europe with the European leaders like that. Like that's straight American strength. Now AOC went to Germany and they went there and all they did was they talked trash about how bad America is. You know, you live here, it's your country, have some fucking respect. But AOC goes over there and they ask her about a wealth tax, and you have to listen.
So when you run for president, are you going to impose a wealth tax or a billionaire's tax?
I don't think that I don't think that anyone, and that we don't have to wait for any one president to impose a wealth tax. I think that it needs to be done expeditiously.
So when you run for president,
And I think it needs to be done expeditiously. Okay, so if you put a wealth tax out there, right? If you're a businessman, and they say you cannot make any more than $2 million a year. So as a businessman, once I make my $2 million a year, what is my incentive to then keep the business open? I could then fire everybody, go home for the rest of the year, and take the rest of the year off and come back next year. But that's not the real world. What it does is you're just driving out business. So continuing on, this right here, yeah, it's a transformer attacking a poor schoolgirl. Pretty crazy stuff that's actually happening in schools that I feel like people actually need to see what's going on. But when you have a poor kid who's messed up to begin with, and the doctors that you listen to, you have to be your own advocate. But these doctors that make millions of dollars, billions of dollars on these genital mutilation type drugs or gender changing transformers drugs for kids, and that just fucks them up even more. It just makes it just hurts them even more, and it just messes with their mind even more. And you were seeing how violent they're becoming. But I'm going to continue on this. But this is insane.
Shoot again, bitch!
And it's just that's the shit that's happening in school. And they just go, oh, yeah, well, we just don't want to offend anybody. No, that person needs professional help. They thought they were a guy. And was it some chick and just fucking got roided out and just fucking went after the girl. It shouldn't happen. It just shouldn't happen in America. But shit's fucked up, man. We live in a fallen world, and God help us. But Hakeem Jeffries was crowned by Nancy Pelosi of the Democrat Party, and he's lost every single election except for Virginia, you could say, the off-year election. But Jeffries has lost everything, and I think it's so funny that Donald Trump never mentions him, ever, because he's just the worst opposition ever. In terms of the Democrats, keep him. He's awful. He's fucking terrible. He is the most unbelievable person that you could possibly put out to the American people. But listen to this. This is Hakeem Jeffries, just lying about shit.
Let's work together. Following the leadership of President Joe Biden, whose record continues to move things in an incredibly positive direction for the American people. Wages are up. Inflation is down.
The high cost of living in the United States of America. It's a challenge that we need to tackle. They promised that costs would go down on day one, that they would address inflation. Costs haven't gone down. They're going up. Inflation is going up. And a lot of it has to do with Trump's reckless mismanagement of the economy.
Let's work together. Following the leadership of President.
I mean, these people are frauds all the way around. It's crazy that anybody votes for these people, but they're the mouthpiece of the freaks, I guess. But they said, you know, he's sitting there saying at the end of 2025 just how bad it was, and it was worse than, you know, it was under Joe Biden, and it's just not true. So here's the real state of the economy. It just came out recently, but everything's taking off. So you need to check this out. Watch this guy.
Heads up! Heads up! Here's another one, and another one.
And they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
In my ear, talking a whole bunch of shit that I ain't trying to hear.
The U.S. economy was much stronger than expected.
Get back, motherfucker, you don't know me like that.
Venga por mí!
So come on, don't get swung on.
He doesn't want to fuck around with the United States.
Still riding Cadillacs, family off the street.
$2.95 a gallon as of today. It's got an incompetent governor fool. I mean, he's a stupid person.
That's why I pack a Mac.
He comes in, does nothing but bitch.
The most legendary thing too, and I've heard like most, you know, it was like real videos, but I think it's funny because the economy's booming. Everything's going great. The economy's never been doing better, and everybody knows it, and people are starting to feel it, and everything's coming to fruition. But Cardi B decides to go the other way of Nicki Minaj. And she says if ICE agents show up at her place, she will jump them. And DHS absolutely trolled the shit out of her. Check this out. This is so funny. But they responded back, as long as she doesn't drug and rob our agents, we'll consider that an improvement of her past behavior. Absolutely roasted her from the official DHS at dhs.gov. You know, like, it's unbelievable. And I just absolutely think that's hilarious. But, you know, when Fetterman ran as he everybody, you know, talked about how liberal he was and all of that. And he had just recently had a stroke when he was elected. And then he must have gotten some like oxygen back to his brain. But he's the only one in the Democrat Party that makes any sense to anybody. And I think he's an actual advocate for his constituents.
Hi, as a committed Democrat, I want the same changes that every other Democrat wants to make on ICE. But ICE already has $75 billion in funding from the big, beautiful bill that I did not vote for. So what it will impact is that we'll shut down important parts of DHS, whether that's FEMA, whether that's the Coast Guard, whether that is also about the CISA, the Cyber Security Agency in our nation. All of these are shut down. We want to find a way forward to produce those changes, but shutting the government down is the wrong way. Hi, as a committed Democrat.
And what the Democrats did, as of a couple nights ago, or I think it was last night, we are shut down, partially shut down, based on Democrats trying to say that they're fighting ICE and all of this when they're not. They're funded forever. They already have the funding. It's all just a posture to get Trump, and they just lie. But this is what Democrats think of you. This video here, look at this. This is what people think. They think you're stupid.
Working in the front lines and local law enforcement to protect our citizens from the worst of the worst. The worst of the worst are not the immigrants. The worst of the worst, records show, are native-born Americans, and they are committing crimes that hurt our citizens and our cities, and you're working against it, and thank you for that. But by trying to get our local law enforcement, where we have an undercount of officers in Memphis to leave Memphis and go to work for ICE to deport people is a wrong priority. We need people working.
I mean, think about that. That's what they think about you, is that the foreign people coming here that rape and kill and all that, oh, they're the good people. They're the good people. But, you know, they play you like you're stupid. They're evil in a lot of ways. But this is in Oregon, where trannies beat the shit out of some normies. And it's like, you know, it's like, do you want your kid around this shit? I mean, it's insane. I showed this one already. But yeah, moving on. We had Keith Ellison, who is the AG of Minnesota, and he is. I had played in previous podcasts how he basically did not go after any of the Somali fraud as Attorney General because they were making large campaign contributions to the Walls campaign and the Ellison's campaigns. So this is a video of Keith Ellison. He was getting grilled.
To the
But
country illegally, or you overstay a visa, should you be deported?
My simple answer is, sir, it depends.
Okay, so if somebody breaks into your home, should they be arrested for breaking and entering, or does it depend?
It's an entirely different scenario.
How's that?
Because immigration is essentially a civil, and the breaking into my home is a criminal matter.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So if there's laws that should be enforced, so we shouldn't enforce civil violations?
We absolutely should enforce them.
But you just said that it's a civil matter, so it's different. So if somebody
you enforce civil matters.
So if somebody commits a civil infraction, it shouldn't be enforced?
It should be.
Okay, so they should be deported.
No, they should have due process that is associated with their petition. So
again,
for example,
so the act of entering the country illegally, you think we should say, well, did you really do it or not do it? It's pretty obvious that they did, right?
well, I mean, it would depend on the facts of the situation, and then they might say.
I just gave you the facts.
Yeah, the facts are they stole $9 billion from the U.S. taxpayer.
But Senator, what if they had a good faith basis to say they would be persecuted in their home country and subjected to real oppression there?
I don't
under
care.
International law, there are provisions for them to make a case.
Fight that fight at your home.
Phenomenal point. Mexico and Canada, do you consider those to be safe countries or no?
Generally, I do, but there are certain
generally you do?
Well,
I mean, then they have no good answers for what they're doing. But he didn't prosecute these fraudsters. So all of a sudden, you know, it's just $9 billion from the U.S. taxpayer. Think about what you could do with $9 billion. I mean, my God. And instead it went to some Somali people that were just ripping the system off. They wanted to stay home and do nothing. But I digress. This one here is Senator Moreno.
Big shot lawyer like you. Just a quick question. If you enter the country illegally or you overstay a visa, should you be deported?
my simple answer is, sir, it depends.
Okay.
It depends. That's what these people say. These people talk around everything. They talk around everything. And they can't admit that they fucked up. And they just they just do not accept responsibility and accountability, and that's what the Democrats do. So Republicans hold them accountable for their crimes and all of that. So there was, and I feel like this is such a symptom of society right now, and especially like these like European type countries that are super liberal, is that they're starting to realize what we here in the United States realize sooner because of our ability of the First Amendment, of free speech. Americans, we get word out on things quicker than probably most other countries, Canada, Mexico, you name it. But Canada is super left, and they tend to not like to call a spade, right? So there was a transgender guy, or a guy that was becoming a woman, that shot up a school, killed a bunch of people in Canada. And instead of addressing the situation, knowing what exactly the problem is, which is giving these kids that are already fucked up more drugs, and it's terrible. And then it turns out like something like this.
Regarding his mental health.
So a suspect is identified as an 18-year-old female by the name of Jessie. We have a history of police attendance at the family residence. Some of those calls were related to mental health issues.
Are there any red flags?
No shit. Part of it was part to mental health issues. No shit. Thought it was a girl or something. Like, they confused a whole generation of young kids just based on the bullshit that they learned in schools. And we didn't know that they were teaching it until 2020 hit, and all of a sudden kids are getting homeschooled, and some, they taught at home in class and all this stuff. And parents start going like, wait, what the fuck what are you learning? That white man is the oppressor? No, we are not oppressors. In fact, we are more likely to be overrun because of our empathy towards other people. We are the most accepting, loving Christian nation in the world. And we do accept a lot of people. But right now, the people that are coming in, the way that they came in under the Biden administration, what I think the nastiest part of the whole thing was that when they did the census, you had a lot of these Democrat-ran cities that counted the illegals in that census. So you had the Democrats that picked up all sorts of seats. And then they get mad when Donald Trump says, go ahead, Texas, redraw your district map, maybe cut off 1 or 2 Democrat seats. So the Democrats go, well, we're going to fight back because, they've done it more than anybody. But these people are just so disingenuous, and they're out there, and it's hard to have anything in common with these people when they don't love God like you do, when they don't love your country like you do. But yeah, you got to call a spade a spade. And like Bishop Marmar Emanuel said in the beginning, we are very compassionate. I would never treat somebody transgender like mean, but I don't affirm their lifestyle. I don't think that's the way to go. I think, I think you're going to find happiness in a more normal realm. Following Christ, having kids, starting a family, getting a job, being successful, building a legacy. That's what people want. They don't want some shit like this, like Bad Bunny, where they get like fucking guys grinding on guys in the Super Bowl. Granted, I turned it off. I turned on, but it's so I did it all over the place today. Hold on. So I'm gonna go back here. So this one, so I'm gonna move on to this one here. So, but Bad Bunny was terrible. But we had this one's pretty crazy. In the Epstein files, when I was talking about Pizzagate earlier, when the guy went in there to save the kids, they said it was a conspiracy. It was all of this. It was all of that. Well, in the Epstein files, now all of a sudden, we're finding out they were in fact eating people. This is Rep Bobert on Newsmax. Check this one out, man. This is some wild stuff that this is going on in the world.
That suggests Jeffrey Epstein and his associates could maybe even be engaging in some sort of consumption. Is that human consumption? Are there code words? There's a lot of talk of beef jerky. There's a restaurant called The Cannibal where the owner is listed in some of these documents. Now, that isn't a restaurant that is just proclaiming to serve human meat by any means, but some of this just, it seems that there's a lot of conspiracies that make you wonder. And I saw more emails about torture, and these coded conversations still have a very clear topic that torture was big. It was a big driver for them. And these were sick people doing very, very sick things. There are code words.
So, main story, Pizzagate. When they said pizza, yes. When they say cheese pizza, CP, when they talk about cheese pizza, they actually mean child porn or your children and different stuff like that. But like I said, we feel vindicated, vindicated by the whole thing. But the Democrats, when they talk about how the Epstein files are coming out, turns out Donald Trump was a good guy in the whole thing. And Scott Jennings of CNN, the only voice of reason on CNN, legitimately put it together the best anybody I've seen actually put this together.
Details that sharply undercut years of media and Democrat speculation and assertions about Donald Trump. Newly released FBI interview records confirm that Trump personally contacted Florida police in 2006 during the original Jeffrey Epstein investigation, and not to shield Epstein, but to support law enforcement going after him.
Let's go.
According to the former Palm Beach police chief, Trump called investigators and praised them for pursuing the case. He warned about Epstein abusing underage girls. Trump also flagged Ghislaine Maxwell as evil, and he urged the police in Florida to focus on her role in recruiting victims. This is all in the Epstein files. Trump was right. The entire narrative around him and Epstein was a hoax perpetrated by Democrats to deflect away from their own problems. The police chief told federal investigators that Trump was the only prominent figure who proactively reached out to assist their investigation at a time when Epstein was surrounded by powerful friends and enablers. The FBI records also reinforce longstanding reports that Epstein was barred from Mar-a-Lago after inappropriate conduct there. And there is more. Additional documents show Democratic Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett communicated with Epstein using a fake name, presumably to shield herself from scrutiny. Reports indicate Plaskett used a pseudonym while exchanging messages with Epstein in connection with official matters, raising new questions as more names surface in the expanding Epstein document release. We'll have more to come as the Epstein files continue to be reviewed, but it seems to me there's vindication here for Trump and more trouble for Democrats than the media has ever wanted you to know. It's Scott Jennings.
That's it. Mic drop. Boom. Drop the mic. Told you. What have we been saying the whole time? Trump was an informant for the FBI to get fucking Epstein the fuck out of Mar-a-Lago. He said he was a monster. You have kids and shit. I mean, my God. But, like we were saying, it does turn out that they were eating fucking people. These people were eating people. I mean, it's insane to me. And, but, yeah, my notes are all over the fucking place today. But they are, in fact, eating people. And Democrats are more worried about Donald Trump deporting illegal immigrants. So they had Pam Bondi come in to testify, and they had this very lively debate.
If you had any decency, you would resign right after this hearing concludes.
The gentleman has expired.
May I respond?
Yeah, I don't know how you respond. No one can.
I did not ask a question, Mr. Head.
You're allowed to.
I did not ask a question.
Crime in California. He does not want to talk about
I did not ask a
crime
question.
in his state.
She can't just add lib stuff. I did not ask a question.
Committee will be in order. The gentleman has yielded back his time. I think our next witness will be more than happy to let the Attorney General
Madam Attorney General, would you like to?
Gentleman from Alabama is recognized for 5 minutes.
You have a few minutes to respond.
Thank you, Congressman. This is what Congressman Liu didn't want to talk about. He didn't want to talk about all the crime that is happening in his state. California refuses to honor detainees because of its dangerous sanctuary city policies. The refusal means California has released 4,561 criminal illegal aliens onto its street. The crimes of these aliens include 31 homicides, 661 assaults, 574 burglaries, 184 robberies, 1,489 dangerous drug offenses, 379 weapons offenses, and 234 sexual predator offenses. That's why they are deflecting. That's why they're trying to talk about the Epstein files. That's currently happening in his home state.
Attorney General, thank you for being.
And, you know, what she said there was 100% true. The Democrats, they just want to go, we want all the files, because they think that somewhere in the files there's something of Donald Trump doing something wrong. And it's a fucking another wild goose chase. And Trump has been vindicated on everything. This one here, Dana Bash of CNN, actually asks a good question for the first time. And this is Hakeem Jeffries again. Team
But requiring basic ID in order to vote is really popular. A Pew poll from a few months ago showed 83% of Americans, including 71% of your fellow Democrats, support requiring an ID to vote. Why are they wrong?
I haven't said that they're wrong. We know that states are the ones who are empowered to conduct elections, and every state should be allowed to decide the best way to proceed to ensure that there's a free and fair election. Here in New York, there are, in fact, voter identification requirements. The question is that what Republicans are trying to do is to engage in clear and blatant voter suppression. They know that if there's a free and fair election in November, they're going to lose. In fact, Republicans have been losing every single election since Donald Trump was sworn in January of last year, including most recently decisively in Texas, and of course, losing all across the country, up and down the ballot in the November off-year elections in places like New Jersey or Virginia or New York.
Yeah, and they've been losing. I mean, Virginia is a good example. They have a requirement to show your ID, and Democrats won very, very handily across the way. So why not maybe even just take that off the table and say, okay, maybe not a passport or birth certificate, but show ID?
Well, first of all, every state is empowered to be able to make the decision on their own, and we completely and totally support that. What Donald Trump wants to do is try to nationalize the election. Translation, steal it, and we're not going to let it happen. We stopped them in terms of their gerrymandering efforts, where they were going to try to redraw congressional maps in red states throughout the nation, not expect Democrats to respond forcefully, and try to rig the midterms. They failed. We've stopped Donald Trump from being able to federalize the National Guard, which we believe was probably part of some toxic attempt to unleash troops on American cities all across the nation and intimidate people from voting. And we're going to stop him from nationalizing the election. This is going to be a free and fair election. It's going to be conducted like every other election, where states and localities have the ability to administer the laws.
I do want to ask about a video that President Trump shared, a racist video.
Oh, yeah.
And
it wasn't even racist. These people are insane. But Donald Trump is not losing up and down the ballot. He has won almost everything, and he's brought upon us the golden age. We are about to have one of the best economic boom recoveries of all time, because we were so oppressed under the Biden administration that this is the stock market under President Trump. You know, they said he's going to destroy everything. But listen to this. He says,
but we're old enough to remember when the stock market, when there was good news, the market went up. When there was bad news, the market went down. That's the way it should be. Goes up. Now, if there's good news, the market goes down, because everyone said, oh, inflation. They have the yips. You know, golfers have the yips. They can't sink a 3-foot putt. When the word inflation, even the concept of it, well, growth doesn't mean inflation. And what it means is you can never really grow the country, because as you do well, they keep trying to put you down. And so when good news is announced, I mean, sometimes great news is announced and the market literally crashes. Bad news is announced and the market goes up because of interest rates, because they say, and we have to go back to the old system. When we have good news, the market should go up. and we have bad news, the market should go down. And we'll take care of inflation as it comes. We can take care of it. I took care of it. I had the worst inflation in history with Biden, aside from borders and everything else that we had to take care of. But we had the worst inflation in history, and now for the last 3 months, as you know, it was 1.3%.
Boom. So the economy is not getting killed like Jeffries tries to say. In fact, everything Jeffries said was wrong. The president has been honest and truthful about everything, while they've called him Hitler and all these crazy names and even tried to kill the man. We did have a crazy one, though. Secretary Howard Lutnick appeared also in the Epstein files, along with Steve Bannon of the War Room. Now, Howard Lutnick found out about Epstein in 2005. He was already convicted, all of that. Lutnick flies out to Little St. James, the island, with his family and kids for dinner. His family and kids around this freak Epstein, right? And I just think this video is pretty crazy, but you got to see this. But so they ask Caroline
Secretary
Levitt.
Lutnick today was testifying on the Hill, and he said that he had visited Epstein's island in 2012 with his wife and children, and that's after he said that he had cut ties with Epstein. And Justice Department documents show that he was in contact with Epstein through 2018 over messages. So does the White House stand behind Secretary Lutnick right now, or given what he has said today, has there been any shift in how the White House is viewing Secretary Lutnick's performance?
No, Secretary Lutnick remains a very important member of President Trump's team, and the president fully supports the secretary. I will just point out that there are a lot of wins in the news this week that people in this room have not asked about, because you continue to ask questions about the same subject, so let me point them out for you.
Bloomberg. Thanks, Caroline.
She puts it to them, and she's one of the best press secretaries I think we've had in a long time. But this is the actual video, and it's not good. It does not look good for the Trump administration to have somebody in there that was so close with the Epsteins. This is actually the Van Hollen, the guy who went to go see the MS-13 gang member. This guy right here, check this one out.
Said in my opening statement, you led people to believe that you had cut off all contact with Jeffrey Epstein after the 2005 encounter you and your wife had in his apartment. But as I'm sure you know, the Epstein files show a very different record of interaction. Why did the Epstein files show you coordinating a meeting and planning a visit with Jeffrey Epstein on his private island in December 2012?
Thank you for the question. I'm glad to be here to make it clear that I met Jeffrey Epstein when I moved to a house next door to him in New York, right? And I met him then. Over the next 14 years, I met him 2 other times that I can recall, 2 times, and that is none for 6 years. So 6 years later, I met him, and then a year and a half after that, I met him, and never again. Probably the total, and you've seen all of these documents, of these millions and millions of documents, there may be 10 emails connecting me with him, probably about 10 emails connecting me with him over a 14-year period. I did not have any relationship with him. I barely had anything to do with that person.
That's what they all say.
Secretary Lutnick, I think you understand the root of concern here. It's the way you described very emphatically your first encounter with him in his apartment, said you were disgusted, would never have any contact with him again. Did you, in fact, make the visit to Jeffrey Epstein's private island?
I did have lunch with him as I was on a boat going across on a family vacation. My wife was with me, as were my 4 children and nannies. I had another couple they were there as well with their children, and we had lunch on the island. That is true, for an hour, and we left with all of my children, with my nannies and my wife, all together. We were on family vacation. We were not apart. To suggest there was anything untoward about that in 2012, I don't recall why we did it, but
Mr. Secretary, again, as I said, there's not an indication that you yourself engaged in any wrongdoing with Jeffrey Epstein. It's the fact that you believe that you misled the country and the Congress based on your earlier statements, suggesting that you'd cut off all contact when in fact you had not. When you visited the private island, did you see anything inappropriate during that visit?
The only thing I saw with my wife and my children and the other couple and their children was staff who worked for Mr. Epstein on that island.
And you realize that, this visit took place after he'd been convicted, right? I mean, you made a very big point of saying that you sensed that this was a bad person in 2005. And then, of course, in 2008, he was convicted of soliciting prostitution of a minor. And yet you went and had this trip and other interactions. Did you have a dinner in Epstein's New York City home in 2011?
No.
So the information that suggests that there was a dinner with Woody Allen and Woody Allen's spouse at the Epstein residence, there's nothing to that, is that right?
Woody Allen's a freak.
I actually don't know what you're referring to. There was, look, I looked through the millions of documents for my name, just like everybody else. Yeah. And what I found was there was a document that says that I had a meeting with him in May, I think, for an hour at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Not dinner or otherwise, for an hour at 5 o'clock.
All right. There's also a reference to the fact that Epstein had expressed an interest in meeting your nanny. Do you know whether Jeffrey Epstein ever met with your nanny?
No, I saw that. I had no idea what that was about. It had nothing to do with me.
No
as far as
interaction
I
at
know.
all with him on there?
No, as far as I know, no.
Would you, Mr. Secretary, be willing to ensure that the file is complete to share with this committee and the Congress your own records, any records you have that relate to Jeffrey Epstein?
I will surely talk about that. I hadn't thought about that. I have nothing to hide. Absolutely nothing.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, I do think this goes right to the heart of the question of credibility based on the Secretary's earlier statements. I hope to pursue some of the other
Not
issues.
a good look. Not a good look for the administration.
As we go on.
Not a good look for the administration at all. This guy's a fucking pedophile. You know he's a pedophile. And you still go out there anyways. It's wild. It's wild. So, like I said, I'm way out of fucking order here. But this one is pretty crazy because Trump ordered the pride flags to be removed in New York, and the liberals go nuts. Okay? Absolutely crazy. Like they're being totally discriminated against. And it just gets crazy.
Why don't we just do it?
We want the flag back
now! And I also want to say very quickly that I assure you, from what we're hearing from elected officials, that the flag will be raised back up.
Yeah. No, it's from us. It's from us, not elected officials. We will not be erased.
Look at these losers. Like, what? Like, you have nothing better to do with your life? Like, come on. Get a fucking job. Fucking build a legacy.
We don't need elected officials.
Oh,
we
my God.
actually could put that flag back right now.
Yes. Let's get it up. What are we waiting for? What did we come here for? What did we come here for?
Look at these lunatics.
It's a rebellion. What are we doing?
Yeah,
It's a rebellion. What are we doing?
Now.
Oh, yeah. Looks like a real rebellion.
And do it now. I couldn't agree more.
Well, then let's go.
Andy.
So yeah, they were all butthurt about the flag coming down, but still, nonetheless, it was fucking hilarious. Let's just trigger me timbers. Oopsies, trigger me timbers is what it is. But it just triggered these people for like absolutely no reason. But Rep. Corey Mills here absolutely drops a killer line, and it's just a mic drop moment. This is pretty funny because he's in like kind of a mixed environment here with Democrats and Republicans. Check this out; it's funny.
By the way, I just want to say this. I have one quick thing, and I'll let you disappear, leave, whatever you'd like to do now. Ice, baby.
Fuck
baby.
You're a piece of shit. Fuck you. You would.
Your boos mean nothing. We see what you people applaud for. Your boos mean nothing to us. Your boos mean absolutely nothing to us. We've seen what you freaks cheer for. But this one here, Tucker Carlson absolutely destroys Mark Cuban in one of the funniest exchanges ever when they're talking about Ukraine and how he's just trying to grandstand like he always does. But check out this. This is funny.
We should help, but I don't have a studied answer for you.
How much money have you sent to Ukraine?
None.
Oh, so what do you mean by we? You're the one whose family's from Ukraine. Like, why don't you send them $1 billion?
Because I'm trying to fix healthcare.
Well, why don't you fix their healthcare if you're like so deep? If you think we need to help, why don't you start? How about you first? Yeah. I notice that's never like even an option for anybody. It's like, we need to help. That's not what charity is. Forcing other people to help is not charity. Here's the good vanity.
I think we should help.
Absolutely destroys him. Mic drops, walks off stage. So one of my favorite senators is Senator Coach Tommy Tuberville, who tells us about how Social Security is becoming a scam, and he says it perfectly. It's very well said.
This is all a scam. I mean, we got people that's getting ready to retire that's going to try to live off $2,000 to $3,000. Impossible. It's impossible. Because what happens, it comes up here, we spend it. We're $35 trillion in debt. We don't have any money. We're dead broke. And then taxpayers have $2 trillion in credit card debt. In this body, we had better start figuring that out, because we're going to have a run on this city here soon, and there's going to be about 150 million people coming up here saying, where's our damn money that we paid in? I could have put my Social Security money 40 years in tax in the market and probably be worth 8 to 10 million today. But the federal government wasted it. This is all a scam. I mean, we got people.
Boom. And it is. It has been, the Social Security used to be extremely well funded when you had 4 people paying into one person's benefit. Around 2011, there was a run on Social Security where then it was one person was paying into 4 people's benefits and was no longer going to be solvent forever. But Coach Tommy Tuberville talks about it, and I think the way he said it was great. But I wanted to show this one here because Bad Bunny was such a bad fucking performance. And like I said, my notes are all over this week. I apologize. So Bad Bunny was such a fucking bad halftime show that liberals started to try to shit on the Turning Point USA's halftime show, which everybody tuned into. Most people did, I think, because it was a slap in the face that they did that. Well, then all of a sudden they're like, well, actually, Kid Rock was lip syncing, and this is Kid Rock's. This is him responding to that. Let's listen to this one here.
What's up, people? We're here to address the fake news media and all the trolls that are piling on trying to say I was lip syncing on the Turning Point USA halftime to Ball with the Ball. First, I gotta say thank you to my DJ, Paradigm, we call him Freddie, who flew down from Detroit this evening, this Monday night, flew down from Detroit this evening just so we could make this video for you. And we get to hang out and drink a couple beers, so it's all good. So, the turning point of that Ball with the Ball, that song's Chaos. And the first thing is, if I was ever going to lip sync, which I wouldn't, that would be the last song I would ever have to bring in the fold to do it to. We've performed this song every night on tour since 1998, since the day it was released. So the turning point event, so they sent me a first cut, we taped it, and then they sent me a first cut, and my comment was, the sync is off. They were trying to line up. First off, if we would have done it, if we would have recorded it and then played like we were singing it, lip synced it, it would have been pie. It would have been pie to line up. It was very difficult for them because somebody clearly wasn't super familiar with the song. Also, when I asked them, I go, Freddie raps that song with me, my DJ. And they're like, he does what? And I'm like, oh no. I'm like, yeah, do we have any cutaways of Freddie? And they didn't. No. He wasn't wheeling up? No. He didn't even have a line up. Any TV time? No. Sorry, no.
I mean, you can see my silhouette.
So they don't have that footage. Now, it's extremely difficult for them to line up the sync. Could have been done if we had more time. I'm confident they could have got it right. I only got to see one edit. And I didn't think it was the end of the world. I saw what it was doing. The mic's coming down, the sync was off. Because when we're rapping it, that song takes so much energy. You've seen me, people see me do. I'm flipping mics. I'm jumping around like a rabid monkey on stage, still trying to at 55 years old. And so me and Freddie are like this. I'm like, and this is for the questions that don't have any
answers.
The midnight glances and the topless
dancers.
The gang, the freaks, the cars packed with
speakers.
The G's with the 40s and
the chicks with beepers.
The northern lights
and the southern comfort.
And it don't even matter if your
veins are punctured.
All the crackheads,
the critics, the cynics,
all my heroes in the methadone clinics. All you bastards
in the IRS.
It's for the crooked cops
and the cluttered desks.
It's for the shots of Jack.
The point is, he was not lip syncing, and it was not like a pre-recorded thing. But they will always say that just to give him the finger. Now, this one here, my notes on this are just, this is really well said. But yes, this video is great. Okay. I have never heard this put this way so beautifully, but it's so true. And this is the abortion. This is how evil abortion is. You got to listen to this guy. This is a really good video. Check this one out.
By the way.
Yeah.
Satan would kill God if he could, but he can't. So he kills babies because he knows it wounds the heart of the Father and causes chaos on the earth. You see, abortion is actually the sacrament of Satan, because abortion says you must die so I can live. But Christ says, no, I must die so you can live. And chooses to enter human history in a uterus of all locations to redeem mankind from their sins. That's why it uses the same holy words. This is my body, but with the opposite blasphemous meaning. Do you think it's a coincidence that the central phrase of the entire abortion industrial complex and the culture of death today are the same words of our Savior in the First Communion, this is my body? And because Planned Parenthood is not only the largest abortion provider in the world, they're the largest provider of transgender drugs. They call both of those mutilations health care. Did you know this? What do they call transgender surgeries? Gender affirming. What do they call abortion? Reproductive. Right. They call them both health care. And so if they can't get the babies in the womb, they'll get them outside the womb. They defend both practices using bodily autonomy arguments. This is not It is not a coincidence that the argument for abortion is quoting the words of our Savior. Abortion is demonic, by the way.
You know, the other crazy thing with that is that the reason Satan was cast out of heaven was because of his grave sin, which was pride. And they use that too. Now, I thought this one was pretty interesting because, the Democrat Party always has problems coming up with the definition of a man versus a woman, and they always have this crazy shit. Well, I thought this was a kind of an interesting video about the difference of men and women biologically and why men sleep through babies crying. Listen to this.
Mothers produce a hormone in great quantities called vasopressin. Vasopressin is the protective aggressive hormone. And what does it do? It helps fathers to protect their family. There was a study that was done where mothers and fathers lay in bed and the baby cries and the fathers sleep through the baby's distress cries, but the mothers wake up right away. Okay? But with the rustling of leaves outside the window. The mothers sleep through it, and the fathers wake up right away. Because the fathers are attuned to predatorial threat. So our nurturing hormones make us different. Fathers produce a hormone in great...
See, that is where the problem is, where the Democrats call it toxic masculinity. No, you just destroyed a whole generation of women and their minds because they were already had problems, probably had some mental problems. And you can Google this, the the Democrat Party, more of them have mental illness than those on the right. The ones that don't believe in God, that hate the country and think that everybody's against them. No, you just gotta keep the faith. But I thought that this last video here, I thought this one was absolutely hilarious. It's just this lady calls 911 on a cop car on a car that's following her, and we've been talking like because Tim Walz and someone done like call 911 on these ICE people. This is funny. Listen to this.
Someone needs to call 911. They are seriously like attacking me.
We'll call 911 right now.
Yep.
What's your location?
Call 911. I'm right at the corner of Jefferson.
Gentlemen, total Karen obliteration. I've been waiting on this for a while.
I think someone needs to call 911.
That was hilarious. It was an ICE agent. Oh my God. So that is all the time that I have. We'll be back next Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Keep the faith, and remember, focus on God, focus on following, Jesus's teachings, and just focus. And we all have our crosses to bear, and better times are always ahead, and bad times never last forever. So keep the faith, get out there, talk shit to a liberal today, bring them back to the table, and maybe we can save a few souls along our way, huh? Thanks again for listening, and keep the faith. God bless.